as we move forward over the next couple of years, that we have an honest and serious conversation about how we're going to get control of our budget. That is going to be a big challenge. And the choice that you make in this election, I think, should be based on facts and making sure that whatever politicians are saying, that they can back it up with some actual figures and numbers that work. I know that here in Virginia and all across the country, there are a lot of people who are genuinely, legitimately, and sincerely concerned about the deficit and the debt. And no matter how much I say to them, well, this really has to do with problems that we inherited, it's not because of the emergency measures we took last year, their attitude is, okay, but it's still your job to solve it. And I think that's a legitimate point of view. But if you are genuinely and sincerely concerned about debt and deficits, then you have to understand the other side just is not presenting a serious idea of how to balance our budgets and put us on a stable fiscal footing. What they're selling is the same thing that they sold back in 2000 and 2001, which is you could slash taxes, including for the wealthiest Americans, and somehow that's not going to affect anything. And that's just not how it works. It's not how it works in your household. All right? So it's not going to work for the country either. And we've got to have an honest conversation about it. All right? So with that, I know it's a little warm in here, but if anybody wants to pull out their fans, feel free. If gentlemen want to take off their jackets, I'm sure nobody will mind. And let's just open it up for questions and comments. And as I said, it doesn't have to be a question. You can give me a suggestion. If you've got good ideas, I need to hear them. And we'll start with this gentleman. Please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Mr. President. My name is Tom Roback, and I manage a small business. We serve ESOP companies, hundreds of ESOP companies, and I've just found it extraordinary in visiting many of these ESOP companies with the culture that they've developed, right, and the productivity and competitiveness, and it's a good model for keeping jobs here in the U.S.
You want to just explain to everybody what ESOPs are? These are employee-owned businesses. I just want to make sure everybody understands.
Exactly. And wanted to just, the ESOP laws that have been in place for over 35 years have allowed employee owners to share a piece of the action of a business while not having to get in there, dig in their own pockets for that. So it's helped them get to retirement, which is tough these days long term. My main question is just with your good initiatives here, we're focusing on small business and the new act. Will you consider encouraging or expanding the law to help more small privately held companies look to the ESOP model? Thank you.
I would absolutely be interested in taking a look at it. The idea behind these ESOPs is that if employees have a piece of the action, they're essentially shareholders in these companies, then you are aligning the interests of workers with the interests of the company as a whole. Now, what that means is that when a company has a tough time, workers have to take a hit because they're owners, essentially. On the other hand, when things are going well, they're getting a share of the profits. And so, theoretically at least, it's something that can help grow companies because the workers feel like they're working for themselves and they're putting more of themselves into their job each and every day. I think that it's something that can be encouraged. I have not seen specific proposals that are out there legislatively, but I'm sure you can share them with me.
Yes, there are a few, and there's been a lot of strong
Good.
research recently.
So I'll be interested in taking a look at that stuff. Let me say something more generally about small businesses. As part of the Recovery Act, we actually cut taxes for small businesses 8 different ways. And I make mention of that because, and then I just signed a bill this week, on Monday, before I went on the road, that further cuts taxes for small businesses, including eliminating capital gains for investments in startup businesses, making sure that small businesses can invest in inventory or in plant and equipment now and be able to take these deductions now, so it gives them an incentive to start investing earlier on. We have provided tax breaks for small companies who are providing health insurance to their employees, because typically small businesses are the hardest folks to be able to provide health insurance because they're not part of a big pool. And what we've said is, let's give them a tax break. They can get up to a third of the premiums that they're paying for their employees as a credit, so that it's just cheaper for them to provide health insurance. So I want to point that out, because somehow there's a myth out there, I think, that we have raised taxes on small businesses. If you listened to the other side, you'd be thinking, boy, Obama's just trying to crush small businesses with these high taxes. We've lowered taxes on small businesses over the last 2 years. In fact, we've lowered taxes on just about everybody over these last 2 years. But when you look at the polls, there's a decent number of folks who still think that somehow their taxes have gone up instead of gone down. And that debate is going to be coming to a head now. I mentioned the $700 billion in tax cuts that they want to provide to the top 2%. We're in danger of seeing lapse tax breaks that everybody here probably is getting on their paychecks every 2 weeks. A lot of people didn't notice that they were getting a tax break because we did it incrementally. Paycheck, it wasn't one lump sum. It was like each paycheck you had a little bit less taken out in taxes. That's going to lapse if we don't renew it, and the Republicans are proposing to eliminate it. So this is an example of where we've got to know what the facts are in order to make sure that the broadest base of people are getting the broadest base of help. Okay. Yes, sir.
President Obama, my name is Dan Ream. I'm a librarian at Virginia Commonwealth University here in Richmond, the state's largest public university.
We love libraries.
We thank you.
Absolutely.
Libraries love the love. VCU, where I work, has benefited tremendously from your stimulus program. In fact, there are countless librarians, faculty, and staff members there who have their jobs today thanks to the stimulus program. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
It's very important to us.
Appreciate it.
My son, by the way, is a student at Davidson College. He is a swim coach here at the Southampton swim team, and he is in Madrid today. And he said, this is the most exciting thing that's ever happened on my street, and I'm out of the country. So, Dad and Mom, would you ask my question?
Okay, go ahead.
May I?
Although I have to say, being in Madrid's not that bad. That's a pretty good deal. Yeah.
He loves it. Anyway, this is from Paul Ream, who's probably watching this on TV somewhere in Madrid. His question is this. In this public discussion of the economic crisis and in the nation's political discourse in general, I feel like Democrats have lost hold of the populist attitude and rhetoric that truly embody the party's foundations. Our swim team community here at Southampton provides a wonderful example of that attitude. Like politics, it's a sport that focuses on individual performance, but what leads to success is a team-oriented, sportsman-like approach. Respect for each other and respect for one's opponents are key to this success, and I think those are important elements of the Democratic Party. With that in mind, what are the ways we can change the dialogue to really emphasize this? Doing what's best for the people is not characterized by doing what's best for some individuals at the cost of others, which is the interpretation of some citizens today. Especially with regard to the economy, how can we reframe the debate and really highlight the respectful and sportsmanlike nature of policies directed at benefiting the American people as a whole?
Well, that's a pretty good question.
From Paul Reed.
I like that, and you read it very well too. So I'm sure
I have my own question too.
He'll be very happy with your presentation.
Thank you.
Look, I think he makes a terrific point, and I've tried to make this point in most of my speeches when I talk about the economy. Part of what makes America the greatest country on earth, and what has made our economy the envy of the world for the last 100 years, is that we combine this incredible sense of individual freedom and entrepreneurship and the profit motive and dynamic capitalism, so that if you've got a good idea, if you want to start a whitewater rafting company, or you want to open a new restaurant because you've got this great recipe, you can do it, and you don't have to go through a lot of bureaucracy, and you don't have to pay a bribe, and that is the wellspring of our wealth, and how well we do. Now, at the same time, part of what our strength has been is what we do in concert, in common, just like a team. Dwight Eisenhower built the interstate highway system. Nobody individually could build a highway system. So we pool our resources together to build the highway system, and that then provides opportunity and a platform for businesses to grow and prosper. The internet was a direct result of a investment in research and science through the government that created the initial platforms that evolved into the internet. And now there are all kinds of internet companies that are starting, and you got Facebook, and a lot of wealth has been generated, a lot of jobs have been created, but those individual initiatives couldn't have happened if we hadn't made that initial investment through our government in the research and development, because there was no sure thing. It wasn't like there was money to be made tooling around with these computers trying to figure out how to communicate with each other more efficiently. Clean energy is a good example as we move forward. Right now, all of us would benefit if we had a cleaner, more efficient energy policy in this country. But nobody individually has that much incentive to do it. The oil companies they've got tons of money, but they're making tons of money by selling oil, and the more oil they sell, the better off they're going to be. So they're not making huge investments in solar or wind or biodiesel. A lot of people, I think, would benefit from retrofitting their homes or their buildings or hospitals, but it turns out that even though they'll recoup their money, they might not be able to afford up front to make the investment without some help, and so they don't do it, which means that we probably use 30% more energy because we've got buildings that are poorly insulated or poorly designed. And it would make sense for us to help small businesses and individuals make that investment. If we gave them some loans on the front end, then all of us would benefit, and individually each of us would benefit. But the point is that Abraham Lincoln, the first Republican president, I think had it right. He basically said we should never do things for people that they can do